Right, hi there, this is Ian. We're going to talk a little bit about hip-hop in Asia, and this is not so much about like, you know, Japanese hip-hop, Taiwanese hip-hop, Korean hip-hop. It's not about that. It's just more about my experience, you know, in Asia. You know, I lived there for 6 years, China, Korea, and Taiwan, so it's about kind of my experience, and also I'm a DJ, you know. I love to scratch records and that sort of thing, you know. I'd say Japan, number one. I say Japan is the best place for hip hop, and the reason why is you know, Japan's just been exposed to hip hop for a longer period of time. You know, as far as like shows, like international shows go, like big name acts from the States, they've been going to Japan for a long time, you know, and so it really influenced the culture. And I mean, you'll even see strange things there, like you'll see, you know, some Asians or Japanese that, you know, they got afros, and girls that paint their skin kind of brown, you know, something like that. And I heard they do it in Korea too. But Japan's good for hip hop. I mean, as far as Eastern Asian goes, it's the best place. It's you'll find, like, you know, I love music. I love hip hop. And Japan, there's loads of record stores, like vinyl record stores. There's like loads of them. Like even in a city like Fukuoka, it's like, I'm not even talking about Tokyo, but in Fukuoka, it's like around 1 million people. And like within 2 or 3 square blocks, there's like 6 or 7 record stores, like big record stores, and a lot of hip hop in a lot of them, you know. So yeah, Japan's good for hip hop. Gets the most shows, like as far as like international acts, you know, MCs and DJs and stuff like that. They go to Japan. You know, that's where they're going. And that's where they have been going for a long time, and that's why, you know, they got the influence. And so there's like an appreciation there for, you know, for hip hop that's, I think it's not really in any of the other places. Definitely not to the scale that it's in Japan. So, you know, they appreciate like a lot of old school hip hop, a lot of underground hip hop. It's not just the pop mainstream. And that's the thing, like you know, in China and Korea and Taiwan, it's just mainly pop. What they know about hip hop is mainly pop, you know, which is kind of true for, you know, most people around the world. Like most people just learn about what's popular. They don't, you know, really go into the depth of it or the roots, where it came from, that sort of thing, you know. So Japan's good. It's really good. Like a lot of like clubs, they'll play underground, you know, music like stuff. A lot of great DJs that have came from Japan. So I'd say Japan's number one. I'd say number 2 would be Taiwan, but I think it's not close to Japan. You know, I think it's really not close at all. It's you'll find, yeah, maybe a little scene and stuff in like Taipei. What it's good for though is like shows. Like I saw quite a few shows, or like quite a few big name acts. Like went to Taiwan, like Beastie Boys. They were there when I was there, and let's see, DJ Qbert was there, DJ Drez, DJ Premier. I saw DJ Premier in Taipei, and yeah, some others. So they get some good shows in Taipei, and some of the other cities too. Like DJ Qbert went to like Taichung, which is like the 3rd largest city in Taiwan. I saw DJ Drez in Tainan, which is it's like the 4th largest city in Taiwan, you know. So Taiwan's pretty decent for shows. As far as like record stores, like vinyl record stores and stuff like that, there's pretty much nothing, you know. There is one, or there was one, I don't know if it still exists or not, something like the Project or something like that. There's a store in Taipei, but it's really small, and they just had a few records. And, you know, like the guys working there said, you know, they can't really, you know, the clubs and stuff like that, the kind of hip-hop they play is mostly like pop, mainstream stuff. There's not much like underground, you know, or old school or stuff like that. It's not, you know, there's not that much of a following for it, you know. So that's Taiwan. I'd say the next place would be China. In some aspects, it's kind of similar to Taiwan. I mean, generally, like most of China, there's, you know, they probably got their own thing. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not familiar with that, and I'm not focusing on that as far as like Chinese hip hop goes and stuff like that. But again, as far as like hip hop goes, it's just more like mainstream. Now, there's a little bit different. Like I spent time in, you know, a few places in China, and Hong Kong is really not much going on there. It could have changed a little bit, but like not many like DJs or like MCs like go there, you know, to Hong Kong. Not many shows, not really like a following, like a real like hip hop, you know, like community there. You know, I talked to some guy in a record store there, you know, that's quite a while ago. It was like 6 years ago. But like he said then, you know, it wasn't much, there's not much of a scene for hip hop there, you know, as far as music goes. And his record store had like pretty much nothing for hip hop. So I don't even know if it still exists. And things could have changed. I mean, hip hop, or Hong Kong's a pretty big city, you know. But not much going on there, I think. You know, because I talked with another guy who lived in Hong Kong when I was in Shanghai, and he said, yeah, there's not much comes there. So the place in China, the good place, is Shanghai. Shanghai has there's like a little scene there that pretty much evolves around one club called the Shelter. It's a really cool bar, actually. It's like underground. It used to be an old bomb shelter. And it's shown up, and I saw it in one Chinese movie. But it's a cool bar, and they get quite a few like international acts, like big name DJs will come through there and stuff like that. And I saw Pete Rock there and DJ Shortcut there, and I know a bunch of other people have been there. You know, like DJs, and I'm not so much sure about MCs and stuff. But it's a little scene there, and there's some you know, scratch DJs there, and one of the guys who owns the bar, the Shelter, has like a little owns a cafe, and upstairs he's got like a place where like DJs can scratch records, and I would go there sometimes and scratch records with some guys, these Chinese dudes, and there's a Japanese dude there too who would scratch records and stuff. So. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So Shanghai's got a little scene, but even the guys like in Shanghai, I met like a bunch of Japanese guys in Shanghai, and they're like, man, Japan is way better for hip hop. So yeah, it is. And then so that's China, and then on the bottom I'd say is Korea. Now Korea is good for, it's got one thing I think that's pretty cool, and that's like breakers. There's a lot of breakers in Korea, and like b-boying is pretty popular. Other than that, like, and I met some, like I did a show and I met some guys, and it seemed like kind of we'd get together and maybe do something, but I don't know, they seemed a little like leery, I don't know, I felt a little bit like kind of unwelcome, not very like welcome into the community, even though we both loved hip hop and stuff like that. This is my experience, you know. And I met some other dudes in Changwon where I live, some other b-boys and stuff, and another guy was like, came over to my house and watched me mix and scratch, and was like, oh wow, yeah, cool. And but they had some other DJ, like a CD DJ, you know, a guy that used the CD player and scratched his record, which is really gay. Nothing came from it, so they seemed a little bit leery, not really like very welcoming of foreigners and stuff. That's my experience and my perceptions on it, you know. And as far as like shows, international shows, I lived in Busan for like 2.5 years, and nobody ever came through there, you know. Busan's like 3.5 million people. No, I never heard of anybody, any hip hop DJs, anything going on there, you know. It's like, yeah, Korea's like, you know, if it's really regional, you know. So what's going on there relates to Korea. It's not very international. Seoul could be a little different, but there's a record store in Seoul that they sell like some DJ equipment and a little bit of like little bit of vinyl, like scratch records and stuff, but there's not much in Korea, you know, and it's just more like, Korea's like pop, you know, K-pop and stuff like that, and I think they have there's a few like MCs there that are kind of popular and stuff, but not much there. The place is Japan. Japan's the place. Japan's the best place by far. It doesn't compare. The other places don't compare to it. So if you love hip hop, go to Japan. And if you're thinking about it, you know, I mean, the cool thing about it, they really preserved, you know, there's this, they really preserved some of the, like the old school hip hop, some of that vibe, and, you know, ton of record stores there, and underground stuff. Just, it's not just the mainstream pop stuff, you know. And like Europe kind of did that too. They both kind of like, I don't know, preserved, have this appreciation for hip hop that, yeah, I don't know, you're not going to find it much in the other places. So Japan's where it's at as far as hip hop goes. So I just thought I'd add my 2 cents on that because, you know, I love hip hop, I love scratching records and stuff like that. So yeah, Japan's the best place in East Asia.